Okay, so in today's video, I want to talk about investing, and specifically, I want to talk about the reasons why more women need to not only be saving more, but also investing more, and actually how you can get started with your investing journey if that's something that you would absolutely love to do, but you haven't done it already, and there are maybe things that have stopped you from actually starting to save and invest your money. So first of all, you might be wondering, why have I decided to make a video like this? And there are specifically two reasons. So the first reason is simply due to lack of role models. So obviously I am a woman and I'm a woman of color as well. And if you were to look on YouTube and type in how to start investing, you won't see many people that maybe look like you, especially if you're a woman or if you're a woman of color. And so I really wanted to highlight the fact that although there aren't as many role models out there talking about investing, it doesn't mean that you are not capable of investing. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't start investing even if you don't see people like you doing what you want to do. But also in terms of like my channel and my subscribers and my clients, they are predominantly female. However, one of the biggest problems I keep seeing is that many women do really have a hunger to be able to save more money, which is great. However, when it comes to investing, I feel like we don't tend to talk about that very much, and we almost tend to shy away from learning about how to invest and even actually getting started with the investing process. And even when you look at the research, there are articles talking about the fact that women are less likely to invest, especially because they may not understand it, or maybe they even have a fear of losing money. And so that's why we have things like a pension pay gap, where many women will not have enough money when it comes to retirement, partly because they haven't been able to start investing. Okay, so first of all, let me just clarify what I mean by investing. And essentially, when I'm talking about investing, I'm saying that you want to be able to put your money or time into something that will generate you some type of return. So your money will then start to work for you rather than you having to work for your money. And there are so many different things that you can invest in. You can invest through the stock market, so actually buying company shares, so becoming a part owner of some of the biggest companies in the world, or you can invest in things like real estate. So if you are interested in investing in property and renting that out, that is something that you can invest in, because what you'll then be doing is putting your money to work for you and not the other way around. Now, this is something that I do help women with one-on-one. So if you are interested in trying to learn how to start investing your money, definitely make sure you book a call with me just to find out more about one-on-one coaching. I will leave a link in the description below for you. But let's first talk about why us as women really do need to start investing, and then we can go through how to actually get started. Okay, so one of the reasons as to why I think women really need to start investing more money is simply because it will help you with financial independence and financial security. Now, what I mean by this is, if you are currently employed and you have a job, let's not lie, your security is not going to always be guaranteed, okay? There are going to be times where you may end up having to leave your job for whatever reason, and there are going to be times where your employer may end up pushing you out either via redundancy, or God forbid, you may even get fired. And so one of the biggest reasons as to why I think we need to be investing more money is because if you start investing and you get to a point where you become financially independent, what that means is the money that you will make from your investments will then be able to pay for your bills, and that then starts to give you options. So if, for example, your employer starts to move mad, or if they end up firing you, if you have now become financially independent, you will no longer have to worry about how you're going to pay your bills. And I think that that is one of the biggest things we really need to start thinking about, especially as you get older and you have more responsibilities. Let's say you now have kids, let's say you now have a mortgage to pay for. If you are just depending on your job and something happens to that income, you will then have to frantically start thinking about how you're going to pay your bills. And if we look at things like the pandemic, where so many people lost their jobs, one of the biggest things that people were thinking about is, how am I going to pay my bills? And so that's why I'm saying that when it comes to investing, really thinking about how you can start investing your money so that you can reach that financial independence will then start to give you the security that you may need in years to come. And I will also say that, yes, financial independence may take a few years to achieve, but even just starting with learning how to save and invest your money can still help you right now. So for example, there was a time a couple of years ago where my company was making so many redundancies. They were literally cutting the workforce by about 25%. And so many people were worried, again, because they were thinking, how are they going to pay their bills? Whereas for me, I actually wasn't that worried because I already had savings and I also had investments as well. And so even though you may not be financially independent anytime soon, because you are already working on your financial security by learning how to save and learning how to invest that money, this can still help you in the short term. And it is likely to give you peace of mind knowing that actually you still have savings and investments to back you up just in case anything happens to your income. Also, if you're not currently investing, I would love to know in the comments below what has actually stopped you from investing your money. Now, the other reason on why I would say that women need to start saving and investing more is because we actually make great investors and we should be using that to our advantage. And if you actually look at the research, they also suggest that women do make excellent investors, and that could partly be due to our risk tolerance. So how comfortable are we at taking risks? Now, I know for me and a lot of my clients, we're probably not going to start throwing money into something that's get rich quick. For us, when we choose to invest in something, it is because we would have done our specific research and we want to be able to understand exactly what we're investing in. And that is something that is really helpful when it comes to investing, because what research has found is that with our male counterparts, and I'm not disregarding men, I have a lovely husband, but with our male counterparts, they are more likely to take a bit more risk and they may just invest in things that they don't understand. And because they do that, they could potentially lose much more money. And so I think we really need to take advantage of the kind of personalities we have, because that can genuinely help us in the long run. And when it comes to things like investing, ideally you want to be investing for the long term anyway. So if we already have that kind of mindset, well then that's just going to be even more helpful for us. Okay, so hopefully I've convinced you that if you are a woman, and especially if you're a woman of color, investing should be something that's on your radar. But let's talk about how you can actually get started when it comes to investing. So my first tip is to figure out what your financial goals are and how investing is going to help you achieve your goals. And I say this because so many people will just invest for the sake of investing, or they'll invest because they've just been told by some guru that they need to start investing, and then that's it. But what I would say is, if you do that, first of all, you are less likely to be consistent with your investing because you won't know what you're investing for. And also, you have to realize that investing does have risks and your investments aren't always going to go on an upwards trajectory. Investments can go up and down and up and down. And if your investments go down and you've just invested because you decided to invest some money, well, you may then start to get worried and then ask yourself, like, why have I done this? And then you may end up just selling those investments at a loss, and then you'll be upset and say that investing isn't for you. So one of the biggest things you need to do, and one of the biggest things that people tend to miss out, is that they do not think about their financial goals first. So you need to understand, what are you working towards? Because that will then help you to now start to think about what you should be investing in. So one of the biggest things that most of my clients will think about is things like financial independence or even retirement. And so because that is very long term, they then understand that because they want to become financially independent one day, they will need to learn how to start investing their money so that their money works for them in order for them to become financially independent. So you need to clarify, what are your specific financial goals and how is investing going to help you get there? Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to think about how comfortable you are at taking risk. And what I mean by this is, if your investments were to drop in value, so if your investments were to drop by 20 or 30%, how comfortable will you be if that happened? Like, would you be panicking and saying that you don't want to invest ever again? Or would you be quite calm and collected about it and decide that actually that doesn't bother you? Depending on how comfortable you are at taking risk will help you to decide, again, what to invest in. And I say this especially for women because many of us don't really tend to be that comfortable with taking a lot of risk, but we're thinking about investing in things that are much more risky. So for example, if all of your friends are telling you to start investing in cryptocurrency, but you're not even going to be comfortable if your investments drop by 10%, investing in things like cryptocurrency can be considered very risky. And so it wouldn't make sense to invest in things like that if you know that you won't be able to handle all that volatility. So really ask yourself, how comfortable am I at taking risks? Then once you've done that, the next thing would be to just simply pick your investment strategy. So what are you going to be investing in? Now, when you're thinking about this, you again want to look at your financial goals, and you also want to look at how comfortable you are at taking risk, and that will help to guide you to think about what you may want to invest in. Now, for me personally, I invest through the stock market. That's something I teach my clients to do. And essentially what you're doing is, again, you are becoming an owner of some of the biggest companies in the world, and you will just buy a small piece of ownership when you invest through the stock market. But again, there are other things that you can invest in. You can invest in real estate, as I've mentioned before, and you can of course invest in things like cryptocurrency. You can invest in things like gold, but you really want to understand, first of all, your financial goals, and also how comfortable you are at taking risks. Now, I'm not a financial advisor, so I will never tell you what to invest in specifically, but when it comes to the stock market, the reason why I do this and my clients do this is simply because you don't need a lot of money to get started. And once you understand how it works, you can literally just put it on autopilot, and you can just be investing your money in the background without having to do a lot of work. So what you can also do is think about how much time and money you might be able to put in to start investing. Now, once you've chosen your investment strategy, that's when you can really start to do research on it. And I would say, personally, I found that it's better to kind of pick one and research one, because what I realized is that when I try to learn about all of these different things like stocks, property, cryptocurrency, it can be very overwhelming because there are so many different things you may need to think about. And so one of the biggest things that have helped me is really just focusing on one and mastering that well. And then once I'm comfortable with that, I can then start to learn about other investments. And so again, if I use myself as an example, because I'd looked at my goals, I understood how comfortable I was at taking risk, and also I knew how much money I had to invest. For me, because I then chose the stock market as a vehicle first, I then started to research a lot more about the stock market, and then I was able to start investing, and I've been doing that for over 2.5 years now. So really, when it comes to learning how to invest, personally for me, I found that picking one and then choosing how to research into that now can make it much less overwhelming. Now, if you are someone who's realized that you would absolutely love to start investing, but maybe you just need a bit more help when it comes to getting started, especially if you are a complete beginner and you really want to do it, but everything just seems overwhelming, then again, as I mentioned, definitely check out my one-on-one coaching, because what I can do is help you not only understand exactly how investing works, but you will also be able to start investing specifically in the stock market, even if you are a complete beginner and you have no idea what the stock market even means. So make sure you do check that out if you haven't already. You can book a free call just to find out more about working with me. So I'll link more information up here for you and in the description below. But I really do hope that this has encouraged you to start thinking about how you can really get started with investing, and don't be afraid to also take the plunge to start investing, even if you are a woman, and especially if you are a woman of color, because I'm not gonna lie, the world needs more female investors, okay? We have so many strengths when it comes to investing, and I think we do need to talk about this topic more, because hopefully the more we talk about it, the more likely women will then start to invest and ultimately reach that financial independence. And I'm hoping that will also get us to close that pension pay gap. So I do hope this video was helpful, especially if you have been thinking about investing your money. And if you did really like the video, please do give it a thumbs up, as it really does help to support the channel. Plus, if you do want to see more content from me, then make sure you do subscribe to my channel down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will hopefully see you next week.